This show is brought to you in part by some amazing people. I like to call them my Patreon podcast producers. They're all on Instagram, so go give them a follow. Daryl at Your Level Fitness, Amy at Gym of the Gym, that's GEM of the GYM, Caitlin at Caitlin Elise. Make sure you put a Y in her name. That's 3 Ys because she's 3 times as awesome. Crystal at Reduced Fat Mama. I always love that name. Very clever. And Emily at M is the Biggest Loser. That's EM is the Biggest Loser. But guess what? She's a winner, as is all of these fine folks. And if you want to have your name read right here alongside of them, stay tuned to the end of the show for more details. Are you Team Apple? I got to shout out all of you checking out this show right now on an iPhone, iPad, etc. In fact, nearly 70% of you are listening to me on one of these devices. It would mean the world to me if you took a moment to leave a review. This is one of the best things that you can do for this podcast to help get the word out. And while you're at it, leave reviews for some of your other favorite shows. I bet they would really dig it. Oh, yeah! When we were on our way down here, I had this thought in my mind. Were you ever a fan of the Karate Kid?
I've never seen any movie.
You've never seen any of them?
Is this the end of the friendship?
Let's get the car. Let's get out of here. I'm looking at my friend right now for people that can't see. So in part 3, Daniel-san, he gets this money for college, to go to college. And he says, I don't want to do money for college. I want to give this money to Mr. Miyagi to open up his little bonsai tree shop. And so where I think about this in a roundabout way, they come into the shop and he hands him the key and he says, welcome to your dream, Mr. Miyagi. And so, you know, I've known you probably almost 2 years now, right? Probably, maybe we've even hit 2 years at this point.
2 years in April.
Yep. You're friends with one of my friends, you know, met through a mutual friend. And so, for a while, you know, there's been discussion like, oh, I'd love to kind of run my own business one day. And
yes, we've had many discussions about that. Many discussions,
because we think in kind of similar, like the entrepreneurial mindset a lot of times. And so right now, I mean, we're actually doing this podcast from your business.
Yes, my dream business.
I'm fist bumping you right now. People can't see it, but believe it happened. And this blows me away to see this now after all the talking we've done, we've hung out, whatever. Like, this is awesome because this is reality right here. You can't fake this. This is not some sketch in a notebook about what might happen or what could happen. This is happening.
My name's on the lease, so.
Your name is on the lease.
I mean, it's for reals.
How pumped are you right now?
I'm very excited.
I mean, you got my hoodie on, so I'm very excited about that.
It's because I've been working really hard.
See? And you're a winner. So this is naturally what happens. But I mean, like, how far ago, you know, did this start to like get into plan? So like people that are listening, they, you know, I feel like I have a lot of different listeners. I have people, obviously, you know, the weight loss world, that's a lot what the show is, but also I think in general, it's more about the people. It's not just weight loss, it's the people. And so you have other people that they aspire, they have dreams, they want to do business, they want to do, you know, all these things. And so I feel like, you know, this is like really good information, you know? So like when you come out, like when you start off, like how long ago? Right now we're in March. People are going to hear this in March. So I'm not recording that far ahead, but when we're in March right now, when does this start?
When did this dream start?
Yeah.
Well, you know me for a while and you know that I've kind of always had this desire, this drive to do my own thing. And so I've done smaller businesses, not brick and mortar businesses, but smaller businesses over the years. But for whatever reason, I just lost interest.
Right.
You know, maybe I had too much going on in my life or it just wasn't the thing for me.
Sure.
And I saw this franchise in Virginia Beach back in June. And it was right by our hotel. And so we drove by it a few times and walked by it. And I looked inside and I was like, that's so me. But I kind of put that away.
Yeah.
and continued on my corporate career.
Sure.
And then again in November, I went to a calligraphy class in Old Town Alexandria. And this franchise, a franchise of this, was right beside of the calligraphy class.
Right.
And so it kind of started my wheels turning. And then in December, I had to take a test in order to keep my job.
Sure.
Part of that did great. The other part, it was just awful. And so I realized that I may not have a job.
Yeah.
And I started worrying about that. Like, oh, I need them to give me this job. And then at some point I was like, why am I putting my future in the hands of someone else?
Yeah.
When I know I can make my own future.
That's so key right there.
So for me, it was kind of, I know a lot of people think about it and plan about it. For me, it was actually like, okay, are you just going to take this chance on yourself?
Yeah.
And I decided to do it. So
that's the thing. Like when you have a dream and ambition, a goal you want to hit and you believe in yourself, that's where it all starts. I don't care if it's running a business, if it's losing weight, if it's buying a house, whatever it is. When you put your mind to it, when you believe and you say, I can do this, that's when it happens.
And for me, it was about changing my thinking. And I really thought that whole idea of changing your thinking was just total crap until it happened to me. And I had to start almost manifesting that this was going to happen and talk in terms of when the business opens in March. Right. Or, once I signed the lease, instead of saying, well, I would really love to have this business and I'd really, so it's more concrete thinking. Definitely. And it's more acting like you're doing the thing you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you're talking like December already and we're in March. I mean, that's not too far. I mean, so it all kind of happens relatively quickly once you say, okay, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And then bam, you're here in the shop that you're constructing right now.
Well, not everyone does it like I did in terms of going so fast. But since I'm single, I, need an income. Definitely. And I could not have got this together working full time. I would have been absolutely insane. Yeah. So I was like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to go fast. We're going to accelerate so that the money can start coming back in.
Damn right.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah. And this is like a huge space too. I mean, I don't know, like, I'm not really good with like measurements and all that, but like, what would you?
This is 1,600 square feet.
Oh, so you know the numbers. That's a sign of a good business person. Like you just start asking like numbers and it's like 1,600 feet. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Yep. That's awesome. So, and it's kind of cool in the sense that like, this is a place that it seems like it's come up a couple of times. Like you've seen it in Virginia Beach, you've seen it up in Alex. So it's like, it's come up a couple of times. So like, does that almost is like a sign, right? Yes. It kind of gives you like that sign, like, hey, this is something to look at.
You know that my faith is super important to me. And of course. I kept thinking, okay, God, why do you keep bringing this around? Yeah. There's one thing to see it on vacation. There's another thing to see it randomly when you're going to a calligraphy class and it's right next door. Yeah. And then to kind of have my corporate career come to a screeching halt.
Yeah. Which you've been at for how many years? I mean, quite a while.
Well, the particular industry I was new to. Right. But I mean, I've been working in the corporate world since I was 18. So 25 years.
Yeah. And how did you get into, is that something like you back then you wanted to do always or,
Well, honestly, the thought of being a business person never crossed my mind when I was younger. I wanted to be a teacher. Okay. Or something along those lines. Really, being a teacher was what I thought originally, but
and that's kind of coming full circle now, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
But we'll get to that. But yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought.
So I didn't go to college. It was a kind of a financial thing. Yeah. And I started working at a bank. It was a bank that my parents used and that I had opened an account there. And they said, oh, we need part-time tellers. So that's kind of how I started in the corporate world. Wow.
And, you've got like a big like customer service base, a lot of experience there. Yes. So like really, this is like a hodgepodge of everything. You got the customer service, you got the teaching. I mean, there's a lot going on here. It's like it's all coming to where it should be. Do you have that feeling? Like,
yes, if I was opening
you wouldn't have made a big commitment like this if it wasn't.
If I was opening an ice cream shop, I wouldn't be as sure of what I'm doing as doing this creative business because I'm a creative person.
Yeah.
And I like to decorate. I like to make things.
Yeah.
And so this is really, in my eyes, it's like a triangle. Right. Where I have my teaching and training career that I'm putting to use. I have my business acumen that I'm putting to use. And I also get to be creative and have paint on my hands and use a saw and all kinds of fun things. So
that's kind of like one of my big things right now. It's like, you know, I'm kind of in just that job world, you know, still, but like I have that crazy passion to be creative. Now, when you come into a world like this, where you're creating podcasts and YouTube and all that, it's not, I mean, it's kind of easy to get in, but when you get in, you got to hustle hard, because if you don't, you know, it's not guaranteed. It's not like, hey, you can make an investment. Not saying this is like a sure thing guarantee, but it's like you make an investment, you get a spot, you set up shop, and people come in. Mm-hmm. That's obviously what's going to happen here. But like with content creation, it's kind of, I feel like it's a huge risk. And I think maybe that's kind of like a limiting kind of thing that's always kind of got in the way. But like you were able to break out from that, because I'm sure like we all go through it, right? Like we have these limiting thoughts, and what they do is they end up like, you know, trying to slow us down a little bit. They give us these thoughts like, well, yeah, this is a really good idea, but well, then I got to worry about this and this. And then you kind of slow down. And you're like, all right, let me put this on the back burner for a week.
Right.
And then next thing you know, 6 months have gone by and you ain't done shit. Right.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's kind of crazy. So how do you get above those limiting beliefs?
Well, for me, it was about doing a lot of research.
Yeah.
So asking questions about their financials and the success of other stores, and had anybody closed because of non-performance and that sort of thing. So they're a relatively new company. They were just started in 2016.
Right.
So we're kind of on the ground floor of what they're going to do. And another big factor for me was just that the leadership of the company, they are so phenomenal. Right. They're gracious. They're really wanting everyone to succeed. And it's not like a competition. It's more like just a camaraderie.
Sure.
So that was a big thing. And then it was just, I mean, I have limiting beliefs. I had a day this week where I was just like, it seemed like I was in such a mood. Yeah. And then halfway through the day, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I wasting that time? Because those limiting beliefs are really, if you can think those thoughts, you can think positive thoughts about yourself. Sure. And so it's just kind of grabbing yourself when you're in that moment of saying, I'm so stupid, or this is dumb, or I made a mistake, and saying, but okay, where do I go from here? What else can I do? Yeah,
you're already in it. I mean, the Band-Aid's ripped off, right?
That's right.
Little blood trickling down. The Band-Aid's ripped off. It's just at this point, you just got to go.
Right. Right.
Man, this is all crazy to me, because this is like, it's like when you can actually see it, because it's like one thing when you sit down for weeks and months and you plan and you strategize. Well, I'd love to do this and all that, but then you're actually in it. Mm-hmm. It's a whole nother world.
Oh yeah. It's been fantastic. It's, I can't even begin to describe what it means, you know, and it kind of seems surreal at times when I open up the door and it's like, damn, this place is mine, you know, or I feel like I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Sure. And that's not something I ever felt before. So this feels like something that's going to take you into the next 20, 30 years. Yes. You know, this is it. Yes. I don't want to just settle with one store. I'd love to have multiple stores if possible. Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning next. Yeah. I had a feeling you wouldn't just stop at one. No, you know me too well. So I kind of already been thinking about where possibilities for growth are. Yeah. And I'm just really blessed by the response from the community. Wow. Yeah. How's that been? Well, I have 86 people who say they're coming to my grand opening, and it's 2 weeks away. Wow. So those numbers are pretty large. Definitely. And this is kind of like a niche thing. It's, you know, it's not like I'm just opening up a 7-Eleven. Like, this is very niche, but also that's very strong, because the people that are involved in these niches, they spend a lot, you know, they're very invested in that. So that's, I mean, that obviously plays very well to your favor. I don't think there's anyone who's lukewarm about decorating. I mean, if you're into it, you're into it, and you know what you want. And the fantastic thing about this business is, if your colors are orange and yellow, you're not going to find much decor out there for that, but you can come here and create it. Oh, definitely. So that's kind of one of the things I think is super neat. Now that is awesome. I'm just like, man, this is, and it's cool, because we've come in here now where it's kind of like, it's still like being built up. It's not even fully done yet. I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's
fully done, I mean, that's going to be pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. The next 2 weeks are going to be very transformative as if the few weeks before haven't been, but yeah.
Oh yeah. How many hours are you putting in a day to this thing?
Gosh. Does just thinking about things count? No.
Of course. Yeah.
I would say some days it's 15.
Wow.
Because, I'll work here for a while and then I'll go home and I'll, plan or order stock or, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the good thing is some days it's 6, you know, because I've got a commitment with my daughter or something else to do.
Sure.
And so that's kind of the flexibility that I've always wanted.
Right.
I've never liked the idea of, okay, if I work 10 hours this day for a company,
right,
but then I need to work 6 hours the next day, that they would say, you have to use your vacation time.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? I just worked 10 hours, use that time over here.
Right.
And so I'm really happy about the flexibility. And that's one of the other things I wanted to do with this business is to give women an opportunity. I will hire men, but specifically speaking as a woman in business,
sure,
give them the opportunity to have a job where if they have a sick child, they don't feel like they're getting an attitude when they call in.
Yeah.
This business will go on no matter who is in here.
Right.
And we will figure it out. But family comes first. And
Definitely.
I've always disliked that policy of making someone feel like shit because their kid is sick that they can't help their kid got stomach flu overnight.
Yeah.
So
the wheels are going to keep on moving one way or the other. It's not like one person. I mean, obviously it might sting for a day, but it's like the wheels are still going to move.
Absolutely.
But that's really like a cool opportunity when like you just set your own schedule. I could only imagine like if I was in a similar position, I feel like I always get jealous to see people like on Instagram. They're like getting up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and working out. I always go home and work out at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon after work, after I've been sitting in a damn car for an hour and a half.
Right.
So to be able to make your own schedule and just make it work for you, optimize it to the best possibility. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I really love that. With my daughter, I usually have her to where she needs to be by 6:15 at the latest.
Yeah.
And I just end up coming in here.
Yeah.
Instead of going back home. But then if I need to leave at 3, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've let anyone down.
Yeah.
And I want that for other people too.
Yeah. Well, you're probably also like really excited just to come in here. Like I know if I had something like this, I'd be like in here every day, like so excited.
Yeah. My mom's like, you need to take a day off. I'm like, not yet.
Yeah. 2 weeks we're launching. How am I going to take a day off now?
Right. Yeah. I'll take a day off after we launch.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just, I want to come in. I enjoy coming in. It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
It does not feel like I've worked at all.
That is really the sweet spot is what it is, right? It's like, when you can do something, it's like if I stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning editing a podcast, that doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Or if I'm allotting 4 or 5 hours a day to record bonus podcasts for my paying patrons who are donating to the show out of the kindness of their heart, that doesn't feel like work either.
Right.
It's a lot of fun because this is something I've always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Whereas you get in a car, you go in the commute, you go to your job and that feels like a job. And, I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I work for a decent company. They have good people. I mean, the job is stressful like any other job, but like it's decent, it's not someplace you absolutely dread, but I can only imagine when you're setting up your own deal and you're making your own hours and you're coming in, it does not feel like work. I mean, that's really the sweet spot.
Exactly. Yesterday, I think I worked about 14 hours.
Yeah.
Because I had a vendor fair at night, like a chamber of commerce mixer. And it was just so fun to show my business to other people and to meet other business people in Fredericksburg. My legs were absolutely killing me.
Yeah.
They wanted to just run off and never come back, I think. But it was really fun. And so got back up early and came back in today. So
that's all that counts. And I bet you didn't dread it one bit other than maybe being a little sore probably.
Yeah, I did not. No. And I think that's the sign of really working within your passion is when you can spend these crazy hours.
Yeah.
And it still feels like I still want to do more. I think Malcolm Gladwell said something like you have to do something 10,000 hours before you become a master at it.
Definitely.
And so I think when you're working in your passion, maybe that moves it along a little further, because you're almost eating it, sleeping it, and breathing it,
Oh yeah.
So
I know on a much lower level, like I just got this new computer and I'm learning Adobe Premiere, which is like a video editor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to figure that out because I want to do more on YouTube. And so with that, it's like spending hours at home. My wife's like, turning this crap off the TV because I'm watching all these tutorials and learning how to master the program. So I definitely understand what that's about. You always want to get better. You want to invest the time because I feel like, for as much as you know about this, you probably feel like, man, there's probably like a bunch more to learn. And with that, you can only go higher.
Well, and the other thing is I'm glad that our construction phase is coming to an end because we're going to start making our samples.
Right.
And there are literally countless possibilities. We have over 700 designs.
Right.
And you can put them on different medium. So my brain kind of spins in that realm. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, when you're learning that thing that is your thing, you can never get enough.
Well, that and because you're running it and you're kind of like learning on the fly because it's your first time running a business, you get to kind of tinker with things and really fine tweak it. It's like, well, I really like this. And then you see, okay, does this drive results? Okay, cool. Or if it doesn't, then you crank this up a little bit and you kind of tweak it as you go. Cause I know like in anything I do, it's always like, I like to tinker with things. Even if it doesn't need to be tinkered with, I sometimes almost tinker it on principle just to kind of see what happens, Well,
and in that realm of just trying things until you find the thing that works.
Yeah.
I did an Instagram post earlier this week about baseball.
Yeah.
It's kind of baseball season. Fredericksburg is getting our own baseball team.
That's right. They're getting the Peanuts, right? Or formerly the Peanuts. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of excitement. The groundbreaking was on Sunday. And I just thought, okay, let me just throw this up there.
Sure.
Didn't expect any craziness. It has gone viral almost in my opinion, because
no kidding.
It's almost got, I think the Facebook has close to 100 likes or comments or shares.
That's incredible.
Instagram is a little bit more. People are tagging their friends in it. Saying,
that's the good stuff.
Yeah. Saying we need to do this. I've had a lot of calls about doing private things, or I actually put 2 classes on the schedule just for sports signs.
Wow.
Because I was getting so much, so many people who wanted to do something.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't even realize the thing that's going to be the thing.
That definitely makes a lot of sense.
And I know that's really not an eloquent statement, but
no, but it's true. I mean, it's like you take like a photo I'll post, right? And like, okay, I don't know what it's going to do. And because I don't run a business, I don't really care like how many likes it gets. It's more, I want more people to see the message. Like, here's a photo, a side by side. Here's the message, and this is what really counts. But like, you don't know how that's going to perform. Whereas, like, I won't post a lot of memes or like just text because I find that those generally don't do well. And so the reason people see more of my face, like on my feed, is because those tend to do well.
Wait, we see your face on your Instagram feed? I'm really like freaking shocked right now.
But that's the reason, because I want to get the message out to more people and more people interact with the face. But I think also, and I think this goes with any business, and it's when you put a face to it. I think so many businesses fail on social media because they think of it purely as a delivery mechanism and not the story behind it. Like, I think that there is enough story in your journey getting to here and that people, they want a story to believe in. So they will invest in that, and thus investing in you, they will invest in the business.
Right.
And I think so many businesses, they just get wrapped up. Oh, let's just put a picture of whatever. Here's a couple hashtags. Here's a location. If they're intelligent enough to do that, sometimes they leave that off, but they don't put a face to it. And I think that that's where a lot of them come short. I'm actually in the process of filming a little series that I'm going to be putting on LinkedIn, because that's where a lot of these business people look.
Yes.
And I see some of these businesses, and they just put up these lifeless posts. Here's a slideshow. here's a little bit of text, when they wipe it away. And it's just, there's nothing to it. And people in 2019, I almost said 2018, people in 2019, their BS detector is pretty high. So a story like yours, if you somehow can make that fit into what you're doing, I mean, that you're just now taking it to the next level. Right.
Right.
And then, the more the business owners and people that are representatives of the business can speak for that business, but tell it in a storytelling type way, that's how they win. And I've seen it time and time again. When you put a story behind it, it wins.
One of the best examples of that is a commercial I saw not too long ago for a watch that's made from recycled water bottles or something.
No kidding.
And instead of just having pictures of people, like hiking and mountain climbing, wearing this really cool looking watch, the guys who created the watch were on the screen. There was just black behind them, and they told the story. Yeah. And obviously it's memorable because I remember it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what the name of the damn watch is, but I remember the commercial. So people do like a story. They want to root for someone.
Yeah.
And even though we're a visual type group, at some point it all begins to blur.
Yes.
And it's only when you get down to the human side of things that it becomes more memorable.
I mean, what better story to tell? Here's a successful woman in her career, right? You've had this, 25 years now?
Yes.
Okay. 25 years successful in your career. And if I'm not mistaken, you had a pretty damn good position at this last place, right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. This woman says, I'm going to take all this and I'm just going to say, you know what? I can do something better. I can go one level better. That's huge. That's something that people can get behind.
Right.
They feel that. They're like, because a lot of times people wish they could do that. They don't want to drive an hour to their job that they know they don't want to be at.
Right.
But this is another side of it. It's like, hey, I had a really good spot. But you know what? I think we can up it just a little bit more.
Right. It's like I knew I wasn't living my best life. And you hear that thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
But for me, it was that I was driving an hour to a job that I felt I did okay, but I wasn't super passionate about. And I was looking for more.
Sure.
I was looking for who I was supposed to be when I grow up, I guess.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And by whatever circumstances, I had to make that choice.
Right.
Do I keep chasing the thing that everyone tells me I'm supposed to chase, or do I chase what I believe? And what, in my mind, God kept putting in my path.
Right.
And one day it occurred to me that you can't be a people pleaser and a God pleaser.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that no matter how hard we try, we cannot live up to every ideal that is in the Bible.
Right.
It's only when, and so people are going to judge us from that perspective,
right.
Whether it's like they've been through something and they think you're crazy as hell, or they want better for you and they're afraid of this, that, and the other, and they're going to project that on you. But it's only when you listen to the calling that you have,
right?
Because that's put in your place for a reason.
Right. I think also like parents too, in general, and it doesn't happen to everybody, but I think parents, they kind of have this old school mentality. Well, I mean, I busted my ass for 20, 30 years so you could have food on the table, and you mean to tell me that you're going to quit this job? Like, I feel like my mother, like, she loves me. She supports me to no end. But like, I know initially when I told her, hey, I'm doing a podcast. Hey, you got a t-shirt company. She's kind of like, what is that all about? Like, no, you have a job.
Or like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Like they kind of play it off. And, as a mother, how do you encourage, your own daughter, like as far as like, to follow your dreams, right? Because you're seeing it from a different perspective, mm-hmm. right? You're able to, you had this stable job. Now you wanted to be bold and try something new. So how do you take that, with raising your child? Like,
my perspective is that I'm encouraging her to do whatever it is she wants to do.
Right.
And that's not being indulgent, but
Sure.
that's coming from my perspective of doing what I felt other people wanted me to do. I wanted to be the good girl. I wanted to be the people pleaser. And so many times along the way, I sacrificed my happiness for that.
Right.
And I don't want my daughter to ever feel that way. She's very strong-willed, so I don't think she'll ever feel that way. But
but in other words, you're not telling her, hey, go work at McDonald's or whatever, just because that's the thing to do.
Right. No, I mean, I've even told her if college isn't your thing, then I'm fine with you not going as long as you pursue something that is going to sustain you.
Yeah.
However that works out. I mean, people go to culinary school. People go to school for radiology. There's so many different career paths instead of just doing the society thing and going to college.
Right. Yeah. Because I think it's kind of beaten in everybody's head. It's like, go to college, go to college. I never went to college. And I honestly, the path I went down, as crazy and bumpy of a road as it was, I don't regret a thing.
Exactly.
You know, I ended up working for a company that treats me well. Even though I tend to dream a little bit bigger than where I'm at right now, and that's fine. You know, they kind of understand where my position is. You know, hey, you're a good worker and you have a job here for as long as you want it. And then if you want to go off and do other things, you know, you can do that. I think they're supportive of that, but it's like, you know, I never went to college. I remember coming out of high school. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go play music. That's what I thought, 20 years ago. I'm going to be in the band. And that went for about 7 years. And then it just nosedove. And then I picked up podcasting and live internet radio. And ever since then, it's kind of been this thing of, it's been something that's always kind of, if I wasn't doing it consistently, which like for 3 years I did, then I took a break for 2 years and then came back. It was always kind of coming back to me, kind of like, what you're talking about, where this place is kind of coming back to you. It's like you find these things, it's kind of like a sign. I believe in that kind of stuff, to a certain degree. It's like, is this meant to be? Is this a sign? What is it? And you have to kind of figure out, if it's legitimate. And then if it is, and you run like hell for that thing, you want to go for it.
Right. Along the way, over the last 25 years, even though I've had a corporate job, I would still do crafting classes in my home.
Yeah.
I would, I can remember this one time around Christmas, we did all kinds of Christmas crafts, and I probably had 10 people, but I was happy with that.
Sure.
I just like to have that community with people.
Definitely.
And I've also had the opportunity to buy home decor and decorate and do that kind of thing. And so for me, everything I've done has led up to this moment.
Yeah.
I didn't go straight to college.
Right.
I started working in a bank, and then a couple years in, I went to start community college.
Right.
And then I finally got my bachelor's, but I had to work for that. I had to grind for it. I wasn't doing it in an 8 to 5 situation. I was working and then going to school.
Sure.
And I know that I appreciated it a lot more. I'm not saying people who take the normal college route don't appreciate it, but there's something different.
Oh, yeah.
About when you have to put in that extra effort.
A little more grit there.
A little more grit.
Toughness,
yeah. No grit, no pearl.
There you go.
So, and so I agree. You don't have to do the normal expectation of things. Definitely. In any situation in life.
Certainly.
I mean, as long as you don't break the law or kill somebody, I think it's all good. So yeah, just figure your thing out.
And I got really excited when you were talking about, all the stuff you were doing on social media, because, that's big for me.
That's your thing.
Especially the Instagram. But it all comes back to what you just said about, wanting to be a part of a community. That's what I found on Instagram. And I think that anybody that has their kind of niche, you find the people in that community and you interact with them and you build just a nice community of people. And I think that, utilizing that is gonna ultimately be so much more of a positive, because you think about it now, the attention of people, we always have our phone somewhere.
Right.
And it's like by the hip, it's nearby somewhere. And so if you can grab that attention somehow, that's when you've got the power,
And I love being on my phone. I'm just as bad as anyone else.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it limits your social interactions.
Certainly,
like true social interactions. And I was commuting an hour each way by myself.
Right.
And, sometimes I would have my daughter in the evenings, or sometimes it was just me and my dog.
Yeah.
Many nights, me and my dog just got into bed.
Right.
I wasn't out there trying to find a community, even though I felt lost from one.
Sure.
And this has been so rewarding in that manner, because the downtown merchants have just really been accepting and encouraging. I'm shocked by the difference in how I feel in my heart, because I do have a community now.
Yeah. And that's a good place to be in when you feel like you're a part of it. And you were talking about going to different, meetups and stuff like that. I mean, that's really, that's one thing that I always wanted to do, and I haven't done it yet, typically because like a lot of these podcasting events, they charge like hundreds of dollars just to walk in the door, which I get it. I understand why they do it, but I'm like, that's a little steep. But I think it's good to meet the community as well, not just be, on the phone. Like I know, for instance, in May, I'm meeting up with a bunch of people from Instagram in Cincinnati. We're going to do a 10K run together.
That sounds really cool.
We're going to have like a big meetup, like everybody that's a part of like the weight loss community. We're all going to have this big meetup, and it's going to be awesome. And that's what I'm living for. Like, I feel like, in a perfect world, I get out of the job I'm at now and I'm traveling the world to meet these people that I've, communicated with, meet them face to face on a podcast like we're doing right now. And I think that that's the best place for me. That's my calling. I really believe it. There's
something unique about meeting up with people who share that common interest.
Yes.
Especially with what we do, where it's, it's not about, I want to meet up with other people that bake pies.
Yeah.
We're meeting up with people who also take that leap with us.
Yes.
They've gone before, or they're going to come after, but in one way or the other, we've all kind of lived that crazy dream.
Yep.
And so we're already on the same level.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Definitely when you can like collab and like talk about just, your experiences, and maybe even if you're not in the same industry necessarily, but like being entrepreneurs, being business people, sharing kind of that, that kind of camaraderie. I mean, that's amazing.
Right. And I've talked to quite a few people about collaborating in one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's just been really rewarding. I'm putting myself out there in ways I always wanted to.
Yeah. Were you always like an outgoing person, or, I know like me, I've always been kind of introverted to a certain degree, which is crazy. I tell people that and they're like, oh, you're so full of it. There's no way.
No, I've always been outgoing. In high school, I was in SCA. I was actually the state SCA secretary.
Yeah.
My junior year. And so, I've always been kind of in that role of, wanting to achieve a lot. And so it's just kind of carried with me in adulthood too.
Yeah.
So I don't mind going in and introducing myself.
No, that's good, because I know for years I was always avoiding those kind of things. Like I always wanted it, but like I never could take that next step. I remember a story that comes back to me now. I was a child. My mother, she knew somebody in the neighborhood and their kids were having a little pool party or something. And when it came time to go, she's like, all right, it's time to go. And I knew she was dropping me off there. She wasn't staying. She had to go to work. She worked 3 jobs because my father was off doing whatever the hell he was doing. We'll just leave it at that. But she was leaving me there for a couple of hours with people she knew and trusted. But I just remember as a kid, like even as a kid being so damn introverted. And I remember I cried up a storm until she decided not to take me and ultimately to bring me to work with her. She said, I can't believe you're not going to go here with these kids and play in the pool and all that stuff. And I was terrified, which is crazy now, because now I'm just like, yes, hang out, whatever. It's cool.
Well, you and I also share the weight loss struggle.
Yeah.
And I know that there have been many times where even though I'm outgoing,
yes,
I have felt like I needed to pull back because of my weight.
Right.
And I think that that's a pretty common thing. You feel like you're going to instantly be judged. And,
of course, yeah.
They're going to say, whatever, she should have had one less cheeseburger or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is just in your head, because really people are worried less about you than you think they are.
Yeah.
They're in their own little world.
Unless you're trying to date him or something, they're like, hey, I think you're more of a friend than
putting you in the friend zone.
That's good. God, that's the story of my life. If I had a penny for every time I was put in the friend zone, let me tell you. But no, you're right. I mean, it's like, they're not thinking about it nearly as much as you're thinking about it.
No. And we tend to overanalyze that whole social thing. Oh
my God. Yes, we do.
So
that's the thing. Like, I talk about it often on this podcast. It's like your mind can be your greatest ally, but it also be your greatest enemy.
Yes.
Because if you're not in check with it, how can you imagine starting a business or starting a weight loss journey? Like if this isn't together, this thing that drives the whole machine, if it's not together, you got nothing.
And in my mind, it's sort of like,
you might have a bunch of talk, but you have nothing.
We love music too. And it's like, are you going to listen to a sad song or a peppy song? Because you can listen to either one and they'll affect your mood.
Yeah.
Same thing with what you're thinking. Are you going to tell yourself you can't or you can?
I'll tell you what, though, I don't know about you, but a lot of times, that's a Chris Lane line. I don't know about you. I don't know why. I tend to gravitate to sad songs even when I'm in a good mood. It's weird. There's something about like a ballady sad song.
It's the lyrics.
Yeah. Or even like the chorus, the way it's sung, kind of, I don't know what it is. It just gets me. Even if I'm in a completely happy mood, I'm listening, singing along, smiling. Even though it's a sad, depressing song, it's weird. I don't know. I have weird quirks.
I understand that. I mean,
you've written music.
Yes.
You get that. See, folks, she does many things. Multifaceted.
Yeah. So far, my songwriting career hasn't taken off. So I'm going to stick with being an
pretty
entrepreneur.
Pretty damn talented, though.
Oh, thank you.
You should paint some of your lyrics on some of this stuff.
I am actually.
Okay. Well, there you go. See, she knows what she's doing, folks.
Yeah.
I like how I look at the recorder as if I'm talking to them.
As if you can see your audience.
Yes, but I'm talking
right there
to them right here
box.
in the mic. Yeah. I don't know why I keep that. See, and that's the thing too. I don't even need to explain that to the listeners, but I just do it because it's weird. But I don't know. So you were gonna paint some stuff on the wall or on art and stuff.
Yeah, I think you can use your creativity in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. How long have you been writing music? I'm gonna pretend like I don't know because I know we've had this conversation before.
Since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't write the melodies or the actual music, the notes, but I hear it in my head, and I can even, if I wrote it 5 years ago, I can kind of still tell you how it's supposed to go.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have. I found some old notebooks full of old lyrics, and I'm just reading this stuff, cringing.
I did that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, that's horrible. But that's about growth, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. What's one that you looked at like a line or two that you just cringed at?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember.
While you're thinking about it, I'll tell you, I'm doing this bonus series for Patreon, and this is not a plug, folks. You hear those at the beginning and the end of the show. I'm not trying to insert an ad here, but I'm doing a bonus series on my Patreon where I take back a bunch of these songs that I recorded that I either sang on or played on or wrote, basically. And what I'm doing is I'm playing the music at a lower volume and I'm telling the story behind the song.
That's really cool.
And then after it's done, I play the song from open to close, uninterrupted without me babbling over top of it. But what the point of this was, I was listening back and I'm telling the story. My face is just turning bloodshot red. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cringeworthy. I had a story about a song that I wrote for a girl that I met on MySpace. People that are on the Patreon, they probably already heard this now because I think it's released by the time we're having this show comes out. But there was a girl that I had met on MySpace. We were talking. It wasn't even like a long distance relationship. We never did that. I'm your imaginary boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. It was never even reached that far, but there's just something about her. She was really, good looking. I was just gravitated to her.
You realize I was a 55-year-old man living in, a hole sitting there in his underwear.
This girl was actually real. I had talked to her on the phone. She sounded pretty convincing. This is before catfishing became a big thing.
Okay.
Before MTV and all that stuff. But anyway, the point was I wrote the song about this girl that I never met. And then her boyfriend is on MySpace as well, top 8 and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the song and put it out and didn't give a fuck. And I sent him a message from the band's account. I was like, hey, dude, the song was called California's Calling. I'm like, hey, dude, I see you're from California. We have this song called California's Calling. I think you really dig it. And he just wrote back some nasty messages. Yeah, I know the song's about my girlfriend. Your singer, he's such a creepy asshole or whatever. Fuck off. And just ooh, I just quickly deleted it from the DM so the band wouldn't see that. Although maybe they already saw it. But Yeah, it was, and just reading some of the lyrics, like, I was part of like this like emo punk scene, and
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah. You've seen the pictures. And one of the lines in the song was like, P.S. I'm more seen than your boyfriend will ever be, or something. It's like really, even you're cringing. So I know that's cringing. Dude. Yeah, I know. And so anyway, but did you think of anything that was cringy?
No, I'd have to go back. I have this one notebook that's, it's from like 1995 or something. Yeah. So
you just wanted to hear me tell my story. Then you're like, I
could tell you some of my favorite lyrics, but I can't remember any bad ones.
What's one that's like really like, what is, like if somebody from Nashville said, Missy, we're going to sign you to a deal right now because we heard this song. What song you think that is?
I'll give you two.
Okay.
So this is a true story. There was a bar called Hard Times next to a church.
Okay.
And so I went by this every day on my way to work. And so one of my favorite lyrics is, I go to a church that's next to the Hard Times bar. When Sunday morning comes around, I don't have to go too far.
I like that.
Yeah. So it kind of goes through about, the contrast between church life and bar life.
Yeah, that's an interesting position, excuse me, to have those two next to each other.
Yes.
So it's like you're out all night, hanging out, dancing, drinking the night away, and then you get up the next morning.
Sleep in your car, go to church.
Yep, fell asleep in your car, you just walk across, and there you are.
That's kind of what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
And my other one is using these tears as gasoline to fuel my dreams.
Wow, that's strong.
Mm-hmm.
You ever think
sounds like a Miranda lyric?
Yeah.
Like a Miranda Lambert. Hey, if you're listening.
Yeah, let's call her up. We need to get that done. I don't know. When all this, like, I don't want to say calms down, but like when you get it all together, you ever think about just like rehashing some of these songs? Like,
definitely. Yeah, I love to write. And so this will give me that flexibility again to do all the things that I like.
Yeah.
Right now my focus is the store.
Sure.
Getting business and having that go. But, the songwriting never leaves your brain.
Yeah. Oh, definitely not. I mean, it's stuck with me. I haven't done a whole lot with it. Although I should. I keep telling myself I should, but then I'm like, well, dude, you kind of have this full-time job and you work out, which is kind of like a full-time job. But yeah. No, you're right. I know I'm making excuses. But I feel like it's just like one more thing to add to the bucket of stuff.
You can ask me my excuses about not working out because I have those.
What are those?
Too busy.
Oh, yeah.
Too tired. Didn't plan for it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. We could have walked in here and you could have been doing yoga right there on this open floor.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Diamond Dallas Page. I do his program. He's amazing. I don't get paid by him to say this, by the way. I just love the program. I'm a paying customer and they have like half an hour workouts. You can do it with your phone. They have an app and you just.
I look horrible doing yoga.
Doesn't matter. It's an amazing workout.
I have to do it when no one's around.
That's okay. Nobody's here. You got the windows covered up. There's no one here. I mean, right now there's somebody here, but if we were gone, then,
nobody would see me.
So what's your other excuse?
I don't know. Just right now I have told myself that once the store opens, because I'm a stress eater.
Sure.
And there's not a lot around here to eat. So I'm just eating crap and I don't even have a refrigerator yet. So once the store opens and I'm not working 16 hours a day, it's go time.
Then it's go time.
And it'll be nice here in the downtown area. So I can just walk. I love walking outside.
Yeah. You probably do a lot of walking around here, actually. It's crazy.
It's beautiful.
A lot of good scenery. Get a camera, take some photos. This is the kind of thing is you got like this picturesque area. Obviously today's kind of a crappy day with the rain, but like right out back here, you've got this big ass river, so I can only imagine, like I'm already seeing like the Instagram posts in my head, like, some of these nice designs like lined up next to a rock with the river in the back. I mean, I can see it all in my head.
I'm going to write that down. That's pretty good.
I know nothing about this world, but that's just what I see in my head. It's like some of like these arts and crafts put up next to rocks. You get the water in the background. You get the right sky, you put the right filter on it, and you're gold.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Same thing with Lake Anna.
Yeah.
I have a design for Lake Anna. So yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, you're not too far from there.
Right. Somebody on a boat taking the picture with their picture.
So
yeah, there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
Fredericksburg is pretty cool.
Definitely.
And lots of history here. So
certainly a lot of great opportunity.
Right. And as I was telling you, the building that I'm in was built in 1810.
Oh yeah. Tell us a little about that.
I actually, there's parts where I can see the original brick.
No kidding.
Yeah. You can tell how like the mortar is kind of crumbling and things.
Right.
Which is great for foundations. But this building was one of the only ones to survive the Battle of Fredericksburg when the city was set on fire. And it was because it was brick. So that's
a lot of freaking history right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool to be a part of that. I mean, I'm sure you probably thought of ways to like weave it into what you're doing here, like to try to tell that story somehow. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. There's actually a marker on the front of the store. That's a historic foundation marker. So, oh wow, there you go. It's certifiable. That's when this is legit. Not making this shit up, people. Yeah. So, but yeah, I have always loved old houses and history and things like that. So it feels really cool to be in a building that old. Especially if you can find some of these other places like the older houses here and like line up some of your stuff in there and take the picture. See, your social media is already done at this point. Okay. Thank you. I mean, the thing about this is like, you can just like schedule out these posts and they just roll out one after the next. And I just have all this stuff in my mind. And it just, I think that's that it's kind of cool because of the business that you're in. It speaks to like, looking at the creativity. It's very picturesque, so being on social media and all that, it plays right into each other. Yeah. It's a great aesthetic. Yeah. And that's one of the things I loved is, it just appeals to me. So I think it will appeal to a lot of people. Definitely. And, everyone loves seeing their name. Yeah. So if you can come in and make something that looks like you would buy it in the store, but it has like an Etsy or something. Everybody's shopping on Etsy, right? Right. But you're making it and you're putting your name on it. Yeah. It means a lot more. Oh, definitely. Yes, having an S for my last name, that's great. But if I can have something that actually has my last name, even better. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I just see it now. You put up some serious Facebook ads targeting women around this area who like X, Y, and Z. And boy, you're not going to be able to have enough room for all the people coming through the store. That would be nice. That'd be nice. I'd be happy with all 30 seats being filled up every night. That would be kind of cool. There is no would be. That's the reality, I think. I think so too. You're set up to win 1,000%. I mean, this is a perfect location. I understand you have like a store opening up across the street. What is it, grocery store? It's called Dominion Market, but it's going to be a 4-level entertainment center. Oh, so geez. Like rooftop bar and lounge, a space for like a band, and another level is going to be like food vendors, little places for them. It's going to have a culinary kitchen and I think a restaurant too. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic. It's all coming together. It is. Well, I appreciate your time. Number one, I've had an absolute blast, and I get off on seeing other people win and to see you on that path. I mean, you're wearing my damn jacket, sitting here living your dream right here. This is awesome. It gets no better than this, right? So that's exactly right. I want you to tell everyone right now, take the last few moments, tell them everything you got going on, where they can find you, where you want them to go. The floor is yours. Okay. So what we've been talking about is AR Workshop Fredericksburg, AR Workshop. And you can find me at www.facebook.com/AR Workshop Fredericksburg. My website is arworkshop.com/Fredericksburg. And I'm on Instagram too. Don't ask me what the damn Instagram address is. Come on, that's most of our audience. I think it's at AR Workshop Fredericksburg. Okay. So we'll figure that out. We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. So the store's grand opening is March the 16th. Okay. So we're going to open our doors that morning, but then have the grand opening celebration at 6:00 that night. You can come anytime between 6 and 10. We're going to have lots of food, giveaways, make and takes. So it's going to be fantastic. You heard the lady. Well, Missy, you're out here living your dream. You're making it happen. I'm so proud of you. Fist bump. You got to make it explode. Boom. There you go. Thanks for stopping by on the podcast. Thanks for welcoming us into your business. And I look forward to seeing where you go next. Thank you for having me. Remember at the beginning of the show, I mentioned a little thing called Patreon? Well, I'd love to have you join me. But Gary, what is Patreon? It's a website that is helping small creators like me raise funds to further expand their creative visions. For as low as $1 a month, you can help me further my dream of reaching as many people as possible and eventually taking the show on the road to meet all these fine people face to face and add a video element to this podcast. If you were to donate $4 a month, you'd be hearing the show a few days earlier with no commercials and getting access to my close friends group on Instagram. Donate $10 a month and you get all that plus your name right at the beginning of the show alongside other producers. But act fast. That tier is limited to 10 people. I've got a whole lot more to offer and you can get all the details over at patreon.com/Gary Cantrell. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Thanks so much for checking out the show and I'll talk to you again really soon. HardWorkAlwaysWins.com. It's more than just a clothing line. It's my mantra. I speak it, I wear it, I live it, and I'd love to have you join the Hard Work Squad. We're constantly adding new items to the store, including our brand new Future-ish hats, which come in a variety of colors, including camo. I mean, who doesn't like camo? We also just put our famous Splash logo in gold to match our OG logo, and there's so much more here. You just got to check it out. Here's the best part. Use the code PODCAST at checkout to take 10% off of your very first order and join the Hard Work Squad today.